This lecture is lecture number 6, especially part C. Probably this is the last lecture in 6th week. That means before midterm exam, this might be the last lecture, and the scope will be until today's lecture. That will be the midterm exam scope. Okay, let's start from this section, CSS responsive. Here I selected 5 chapters, intro and the viewport, grid view, media queries, and the frameworks. After that, I will briefly introduce about the CSS grid, but only about the key points about this grid. This is related to the layout, and today's lecture will be the last part C in 6th week. Okay, let's look at this one. Okay, responsive web design. In the previous lecture, sometimes we could see the concept about the responsive web design. That is related to the screen size, and that is adaptively applied to each screen size. There are many different kinds of screen size, but we can categorize into 3 types: screen for PC, and tablet PC screen, and a smartphone screen, and we learn about them. What is responsive web design? Responsive web design makes our web page look good on all devices. This design is working responsively depending upon the size of the screen. Responsive web design uses only HTML and CSS. Even though we are not using JavaScript or any other programming language, we can implement that responsive web design, and it is very convenient. Designing for the best experience for all users. That means for all kinds of devices. For example, this is desktop screen, and this one is tablet PC screen, and like iPad, and this one is smartphone screen. The screen sizes are different from each other, and our web page, if that is designed considering that the screen size, then it will be very convenient. But long time ago, we should implement different web pages for each different type of the devices. And let's follow this one. It is called responsive web design when we use CSS and HTML to resize, hide, shrink, enlarge, or move the content to make it look good on any screen. Okay, let's look at this one. And here I can shrink a little bit. If I am clicking this one, then it is being shrunk. Then depending upon the size, you can see the this page is being changed a little bit, and it is being adjusted to the window size. Even though this one is not smartphone screen, but we can shrink that window. We can emulate the smartphone screen like this, and probably this one is increased for PC screen like that, and then we can see the screen size is being changed. This is called responsive web design. We learn about it. To implement that, let's look at this one briefly in advance. Here, it seems a little bit complicated. Here, we'll focus on the style. For all elements, box sizing, we learned already this one, border box, and the class name row, and pseudo element. After that, class element, that content will be cleared. And this one is attribute class attribute, and this one is column dash. If that is included in the class name, then that will be selected, and this style will be applied to those selected elements. And to implement this one is the source for that. And here many classes, even though we couldn't learn this one, we couldn't understand exactly about it, we learn about it. Here we'll focus on that. And as we learned already, this one is at media, and this one is media query. We learned in the previous lecture. And this one is checking whether that screen size is above this 600 pixel, or for that is mainly for the tablet or iPad size. And this is minimum US 768. Then this is for the PC screen size. Thus we can categorize into three different sizes in terms of the screen size. And the first one, that is the mainly for the default one, and that is mainly for the mobile. This is called mobile first design. And the next one is tablet, and the last one is PC screen. That is, those are considered. And if we are if we are changing that window size, then depending upon the size, you can see the web page, the design, that is different, because that style related to that is applied, and that becomes effective. And you can see this is PC screen size, this is tablet screen size, and this is smartphone screen size. Okay, we learn. Let's move to the next. This one was brief introduction about the responsive web design. And to implement that, as we learned about the viewport, we should use the viewport. And the viewport, the definition of viewport is the user's visible area of a web page. And the viewport varies due to the device, and will be smaller on a mobile phone than on a computer screen. And to set the viewport, as we learned in the HTML tutorial, we should use this meta element, and the name should be viewport. And the content here, width equal device width, and initial scale can be 1, and also that can be increased or decreased depending upon the number. Okay, here this one is explaining about each element and attribute. Here, meta viewport element gives the browser instructions on how to control the page's dimensions and the scaling, like this, into this value and this attribute. Here, width equal device width means the width of the page to follow the screen width of the device. And initial scale equal 1.0 means the initial zoom level when the page is first loaded by the browser. Okay, here we can see two examples. One is without the viewport meta tag. Another one is using viewport. Probably these examples are shown already, and as we observed already, depending upon the viewport, this one is not using viewport, and the design is different. Here, more this better than this one, because this is adjusted to the screen size, because we are using viewport meta tag. This is called a kind of responsive web design. Okay, here, size content to the viewport. Some explanation about the rule to keep in mind. First, do not use large fixed width element. And if possible, do not let the content rely on a particular viewport width to render where. And if possible, try to use CSS media queries. As we learned, this media query is so convenient for that responsive web design. And media queries to apply different styling for small and large screens. To implement that, we should understand this grid view. This is the whole screen size, 100% width of the screen. And the many web pages are based on a grid view. We can divide into 12 columns. And here, using a grid view is very helpful when designing web pages. It makes it easier to place elements on the page. And here, depending upon the occupation and depending upon how much we are using the columns, that is related to the design screen, depending upon the screen size. And here, responsive grid view often has 12 columns as shown here, and has a total width of 100%. From here to here, that is 100%. And this one is divided into 12 columns. Okay, and we can use this way with this with some percent unit. We can take the space like this. We can implement in this way, but this one is so simple and not good design. Instead of this, we are showing some example using the responsive web design and using that previous grid, because the grid, using the grid for that responsive web design will be better, because even though this one is shrinking, the space taken by this main part and taken by this menu part, those are fixed. But depending upon the screen size, if that is the screen size for the smartphone, instead of this is so narrow, the width is so narrow, right? And instead of using two columns here, this one and this one should be in the stackable area, and it should take full rows. Okay, let's move to the next, and probably that example will show that. Okay, this one. As we learned the grid view, this one is being used, but this one is the premature introduction. This one is not implementing that one. To implement for better design, this one was considered, and something more should be implemented, and this is just before that implementation. This one is exactly the same like the previous example. This is not good design because that column is still being used, and this one should be stacked, and it is not being changed. It is not good design. And let's move to the next. Then that will be better. Here, this one is, we learned about this one already, but we are integrating all together. Then the complexity will be increased, but we learned already. This one is attribute and the class attribute selector, and this one is the column. If those are included in the class name, then those will be selected, and then this style will be applied. Okay, Then let's move to the next to see the real example. Okay, let's look at this one. Still it is not considered, and this one is now ready to implement better design. And to implement the better design, we need to prepare like this grid view, and we should use that class name here. Depending upon that class, depending upon the size, that will be changed. Here anyhow, even though the better implementation is not shown here, we can implement this design, and we can add more for better design after closing some open tabs. Okay, probably next one is explaining about that. This one is really the responsive app design, and using media queries. As we learned already, to this one we can adjust depending upon the screen size. And here, let's look at this one first. Then we will implement this concept to the previous example. Then that will become the better design. Here, depending upon the screen size, as we learned already in the media query in the previous lecture, this one is the condition. And if that is true, one is screen. Okay, that is satisfied, and this is true, and this one is being changed. The screen size will be changed. The maximum use is 600 means okay, this one is satisfying that condition until here. Maximum 600 here until here 600. Let's try to adjust here. Then the background color will be light blue as described here. That is the style defined here. After that, that will be changed to this. This is default and the light green color. If the screen size is over than 600 pixels, then the background color will be changed to this light green, like this. This is very simple example to understand, even though we learn. Now this one, this one we can remind. Okay, add a breakpoint. We can add a breakpoint depending upon the different kinds of the screen size we can add, but here we are considering two different devices. One is desktop, another one is phone. Simply we can consider two cases. Here for desktop, we can divide the width, the whole width into 12 columns like this, and if that is below certain size, here 768 pixel is the size. If that is below that, the screen size is below that, and let's try to this one. Then probably this size is this is height. Thus you don't need to worry about that. Just think about this one. 424. Then that means that is below that specific number. Below that specific number, 768 pixel, then this style will be applied. Some element, that element has the class name, and the class name is containing the column dash value. Then here, column dash. Those are the names of that class. Then those style will be changed. The width will be 100%. Thus this one is occupying 100% in terms of that width. But the original width was like this. Depending upon the column that the class name, column dash 6, the width is 50 if that is increased. Like this. There's this one is using another class name, and that depending upon that definition or declaration that is occupying that space. Okay, here we are using, let's look at column 3 and column 6. Column 3 is 25%. Column 6 is 50%. Thus, we are using this size in terms of width. Here, mobile first. That is very important. Probably almost 10 years ago, Google introduced this concept in terms of their advertisement, AdSense. They introduced mobile first design. They changed it to the mobile application with more priority than other devices, because their world is being changed to mobile application world with the smartphone world. Here, there's mobile first. That means mobile that is narrow width. There's each column will take full width. That's 100%. But depending upon the screen size, here minimum use, that means over 768. Then we can use this style for the desktop, and we can use that like this, as we observed already. Like this. Depending upon the screen size, we can use this style definition or this default mobile first design, that style. Depending upon the size, we can apply. You can try others, and here some. Okay, we learned already all of them. This one I explained already, and also we know. And just this one is integrating some small pieces which we learned, each one by one. But the important thing is how to integrate. Then the integrated result may be very complicated, but in our real application, real web page, real website, those are all the result after integration. Thus the result, and that resulted code may be very complicated, but we should be familiar to that integration, even though that is complicated. Another breakpoint. We can consider another device, tablet, for example, like iPad. Then intermediate size, minimum use 600 pixels is inserted here. This is called breakpoint. And another style definition here, class with class name, different class name. And we can apply that one in this real application. And each one is probably here about the, this is another name of the class name, and we are using also this one as we used already, same one. And here class name, we are using multiple class names here, and depending upon the screen size, this one may be used, this one may be used, this one may be used, depending upon that. For that kind of application, we can enumerate that class names here. And depending upon the size, intermediate size, instead of the column 6, this column -3, S-9, that will be applied. column dash S-9. Let's look at what's that. That is 75%. Okay, that is 75%. Thus this one probably 75%. That will be used for that area. Okay, after closing some open tabs, let's move to the next. Okay, if we are considering more breakpoints, then we can enumerate here 600 pixel, and after that 768, after that or more laptop or desktop devices, we can consider 992 pixel. After that large screen desktops, or 1200 pixel, like that. Then we can divide into more different cases, and that will be, this media query can be used for that. Okay, let's look at this one. Depending upon the screen size, this style is very simple. Thus, it's simply this one is showing the different color, and you can see the changed color depending upon the screen size. Okay, another one is we should keep think about the orientation. Depending upon your orientation, think about your tablet or iPad. You can change that orientation simply, but your PC, it is difficult. If you are changing it to the resizable the bar, resizable window size, you can, if you are clicking this one, then you can change that. Then in that case you can apply. But usually a smartphone or tablet is more, those are more related to this orientation, landscape or portrait. Depending upon that, okay, this one is checking whether that orientation is landscape. In this media query, we can check whether that is true or not. If those are true, then this style will be applied. Think about the landscape. The width is bigger number than the height value, then that is called the portrait, a landscape. If this one is, if the height is, the value for that height is bigger number than the width number, then that is called landscape. A portrait, that is called portrait. I'm sorry about it. This is portrait. This is landscape. Thus landscape, that is light blue. Portrait, that is light green, like that. Or sometimes we can also apply this kind of the hiding effect. Depending upon the screen size, we can apply this hiding effect. Here, simply to this display. To this display, we can show or not. We can display or not. Here, depending upon the screen size, you can see this one was shown, or this one is hidden. To this display, we can control. This one we learned already, but this one is application to that. Okay, also even the font size can be changed. This is simple example, simple application. Think about this one. Simply we are changing the style with this media query. Then depending upon the true or not that condition, this one will be applied or not. Depending upon that, if that style is about the screen, this character size, text size, font size, then that is affecting the font size, like this. Okay, where we are, let's look at the last part. Is about the frameworks here. in this responsive app design. This one is not a long chapter. This one is very simple chapter. This one is simply introducing built-in frameworks, built-in CSS frameworks. If we are using these built-in frameworks, then we don't need to design the class name and the classes with our own way. We don't need to that. This is built-in frameworks. And this w3.css, this is the tiny one for that responsive style sheet, and this one makes it easy to develop sites that looks nice at any size. Thus this one is one framework which we can apply simply. This one is the example using that w3.css built-in framework. Here, even though we didn't define or declare that the class names we can use, because those are defined already in that framework w3.css. Simply we can link here, as we learned already, here w3.css. Then we can use those built-in class names. Then simply we can implement this kind, and this one is responsive design. You can see, depending upon the screen size, the web page is being changed. And another one that is more popular framework, and that is Bootstrap, and that is much better than the previous tiny w3.css. And this one is using HTML, CSS, and the jQuery. This jQuery, later we learn about it after learning JavaScript. This is JavaScript library function, jQuery, to make responsive web pages. And to use this Bootstrap, we should use this link, and we should include that. This Bootstrap and the jQuery and the Bootstrap here. This means minimized, compressed one. Minimized, compressed in terms of that the whole characters, source code, those are minimized. Here, even though we didn't define or declare that the class names we can use here, because those are built-in frameworks and built-in class names that is embedded in that Bootstrap. Thus we should understand what kind of class names are there, and simply we can use them. Also, let's look at the real example here. This one is implemented based on that bootstrapping. Bootstrap here framework. Okay. I will add 3 chapters more, but I will explain only the main and the key concept about the grid, because this one is useful. And let's look at this one. Until here, I will extend the scope for the midterm exam. Only key concept about this CSS grid. Here, to design this one is CSS grid layout, and to implement that we can use this grid container, the class name, and also grid container, and that is child for that, and we can apply here grid container, and this is the child for that, and then we can apply this one, and we can design this kind. And here we should use this display, and the value should be grid then that is grid layout. Let's look at this one. The CSS grid layout module offers a grid-based layout system with rows and columns, making it easier to design web pages without having to use floats and position. If we are using floats and position, then it is a little bit complicated than this grid layout. For simple application, you can consider this one. To use grid, let's follow this one. Grid elements. A grid layout consists of parent element with one or more child elements like this. Those are child elements, and this is grid container. This is containing these grid element items. Here, each one is grid items, each column, and this one is container for that. And to implement that, we should use this display, and that value should be grid. And the grid template columns here, we are using 3 auto size, automatic auto here. Then it is occupying automatically. The size will be changed like that. 1, 2, 3, those are matched to each one. And next one is also 4, 5, 6. Those are matched auto and auto. Another one is also, this one is also auto. And the others simple, just integrated application with previous attributes and previous elements which we learned already. Here, display property. To use that, as we learned, display should be this grid or inline grid, to be inline. And this one is some minor explanation about the grid, column, about row. We can provide some column and rows, and also we can control the gaps between them like this. And there are several property names for that: grid column gap, grid row gap, or grid gap. And you can refer to others. I'll skip, and I will focus on the more important concept, key points here. And grid container. This one is explain about the grid container, which we learned already, but here we are learning about grid template columns. This one is explain about that. This is grid template columns. How many columns are embedded here in each row? This is row, and how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4 grid items, each one. Depending upon that, if we are changing, instead of 3 autos, if we are changing to 3 autos instead of 4, then 3 columns are being used. If we are using 2 autos, then 2 columns are being used, like that. Okay, that is for grid columns. We can use, instead of this auto, we can use some absolute value. This 80 pixel is for that. We can use some absolute value. Then you can see that is the fixed absolute value. But the third one, this one is automatic. Depending upon the increased size, this is being changed automatically. And the others are fixed as given here, like that. This kind of design we can implement in this way. Also, in terms of the grid rows, this height for each row we can control here. 80 pixel in terms of height, and 200 pixel the bottom row we can control in this way. Also, we can provide this justify content property. This is justify content is related to the horizontal space, and this is adjusted. And in terms of horizontal space, this is used to align the whole grid inside the container. And also some values related that justify content, you can refer to them. And also in terms of the vertical alignment, we can use this align content property. This one is related to the vertical alignment vertically, like this. Vertically, these grid elements are shown here, aligned vertically centered, and you can try others. And at the starting point here is in this grid container, or ending inside, you can show that grid items. Okay, this one is the explain a little bit more about the grid items, even though we learn and we use these grid items. And the grid column property, and this one we can control. Here, this 1/5 means item 1, and that is starting 1 column 1, and just before the column 5. Thus we can implement this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just before column 5, this one can be extended. This one, the size for this item 1, that can be enlarged like that. It is occupying more columns. The method is like this. Or other way, just this one is using 4 columns. There's instead of this, we can use other way. Instead of this, span 3 like that. Then this one is using 3 columns, and if we are using 5, then we can implement the same result like previous example. This one is occupying 4 columns with this value. It is starting and occupying 4 columns, and this is item 1. Item 1 is here. 1. This one is shown here. The others are following. Okay, in other way, like that, starting and then vertically, rows are previous case was extended using some columns, but this one extended using some rows and extended vertically. Grid row property is shorthand property for the grid row start and grid row end property. You can refer to that. Grid area. We can use grid area. Okay, you can refer to others. Also, we can provide some name to each grid item and to this grid area. Item 1 is named due to my area. Then my area is being used, that name, then that means that is item 1. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the result will be like that. This one is using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thus, in this way, we can enlarge that specific column. Depending upon our design, we may need this kind of design, then we can apply using this concept. Okay, that's it. And you can refer to others. Okay, about this grid, I will ask only one question and only key points in the midterm exam. Okay, I will wrap up this lecture here. This lecture is lecture number 6, part C.